What's up, guys? I'm Roderick, aka Rodman, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we're going to be ranking every boss in Dark Souls 3 on level of difficulty. Now, Dark Souls 3 is considered the easiest Souls game in the series, but it still can be quite challenging. So let's go ahead and dive right into the list. So the first boss of the game, I actually don't know how to pronounce this guy. Is it Udex? Udex Gundyr? This guy is the easiest boss in the game. Actually, brief story time. The first time I ever played a Souls game was in 8th grade or something like that. I don't know. But this is the first boss I ever fought, and I beat him. And without knowing anything about the game, iframes, anything like that. So this guy isn't hard at all. Cursed Rotted Greatwood. Now, this boss is more annoying than he is difficult. The whole aspect of this fight is that his wooden body doesn't take any damage, but he has these weird boluses on his branches that do, and that take a giant chunk out of his HP. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in the C tier because he's very annoying. Same thing with Vort. Vort is the hardest out of the the beginning bosses. I did die to him a few times, but it's not like he's super difficult or anything like that. The only thing I can say that's really annoying about Vort is the fact that he does inflict status effects, such as frost and things like that. So it's very annoying. At this point, I kind of do forget the order of the bosses, so I'm just gonna go in order of how they're listed on this. So Abyss Washers, I'm gonna put Abyss Washers in B tier only because just the way that the fight is formatted. So if you walked in the boss room and all three Abyss Watchers were fighting you at once, this boss will be very difficult. But the way this boss works is one Abyss Watcher appears, you get that one to like half health. Then another one appears, you get that one to like half health. And then one more Abyss Watchers pull up, but he also attacks the other Abyss Watchers. So half the time, they're just fighting each other. So this boss really isn't all that difficult. Aldrich? Aldrich. Nah, he wasn't all that hard. I'm pretty sure I beat him on the first try on my first playthrough. The thing, and honestly, the only thing that was really memorable about this boss is the fact that it takes place in the same arena that you fought Ornstein and Smo in Dark Souls 1. So I thought that was really cool. Ancient Wyvern, I don't know even where to rank this boss. I'm gonna probably put him in D tier because this boss, he's not even a real boss. He's more like a boss run that you get to where you need to go and then you one-shot him. He's more of a gimmick boss than he is an actual move set, iframe, all that type of boss. But I mean, it's a cool concept for sure. It's cool to have those different type of bosses implemented into the game. So, Champion Gundyr. Champion Gundyr. I'm not gonna lie, for a Souls boss, he'll probably be in like B or A tier, but in Dark Souls 3, he's one of the hardest bosses in the game. I'm not gonna lie, Champion Gundyr definitely will give anybody a run for their money. He's very fast, he hits very hard, he has crazy range. So yeah, Champion Gundyr definitely is up there. Great Wolf and the Grave Finder. It's got some optional boss, but I'm gonna throw him in the B tier. Not very memorable in my opinion, but I actually don't really know too much about this boss. It's been a while since I played Dark Souls 3, but I remember this boss being relatively easy. Crystal Sage. Crystal Sage was easy. It was just like one of those bosses where it's just kind of annoying, right? The boss run there is pretty annoying because it takes place in the swamp area. So that was very annoying. Nobody likes swamp areas or poison areas in Souls. But man, I need a haircut, bro. Look at my hair. Ah, but Crystal Sage, it's a cool boss fight though. I really like the aesthetic of it. The visual effects is very, very nice. Dancer. Now, Dancer, it really depends on when you fight Dancer, because you can fight. Dancer can be like your first boss that you ever fight in the entire game. Obviously, if you fight Dancer right off rip, it's going to be S tier. But I'll put Dancer in A tier. I think Dancer's a pretty difficult fight. I don't think it's like, up there with Champion Gundyr or this guy that we're going to get into, Dark Eater Midir, who's probably the hardest fight in the whole game, if you're being real. Midir, he's crazy. He hits really, really hard, and obviously he takes the most damage on his head, but it's very wonky trying to hit him on his head. Midir is by far the most difficult fight in this game, in my opinion, of course. Deacons of the Deep is another like gimmicky fight. This boss isn't hard at all. Pretty much the aspect of this fight is you're fighting a mob of, think of it almost like the first phase of Renala's fight in Elden Ring. Kind of like that, but they're all standing up, they're not sitting on the ground. Okay, Demon Prince. Demon Prince. Nah, Demon Prince wasn't hard. Honestly, the hardest part of Demon Prince was actually getting to the boss room. But I'm gonna definitely put this guy in the B tier. Dragon Slayer armor. Dragon Slayer armor. I don't know, y'all. This guy, I remember, I don't know. I feel like the thing with Dragon Slayer armor is he would be like a formidable opponent if he was placed earlier in the game. I feel like his placement at that point of the game, which is way too late. So I'm gonna put this guy, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's cool. He's very cool, but I just did not have a hard time. I one tried this guy first playthrough. So I don't know. He's very cool though, and I know a lot of people would, think he's one of the harder bosses. He's optional and things like that, but no. That's probably my hot take in this video is Dragon Slayer armor is not that difficult. Half-Light, I'm gonna come back to Half-Light because I actually don't remember this boss very well, so I'm gonna do a little bit of research on that just to, rejog or refresh my memory. Lothric and Lorien though is gonna go in the A tier because he's predictable. When he starts teleporting around a room, you kind of already know what he's gonna do. The most annoying part of this fight is, obviously, you already know what I'm about to say, is that if you don't kill the younger brother first, then he'll just keep reviving the older brother an infinite amount of times until you actually take down the younger brother. This fight would have been a lot more difficult if, even if you killed the younger brother, you still had to kill the older brother, because once you kill the younger brother, the fight ends. Nameless King, S tier. This fight's pretty hard. It's pretty hard because, man, there's a lot of factors that go into this fight being hard. There's just so many things you have to watch out for. So many things you have to be careful of. It'll literally one-shot you, right? So, let's see. Bounce around a little bit here. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing some of these names wrong. Osiros. This guy. Just trying to think. I don't want to. Nah. I can't put him down here. I think this is probably good placement for him because the really annoying thing about him is his boss room is very laterally. Laterally is long, but like horizontally is not. You don't have that much space. It's one of those things where you're kind of battling with the boss arena as well. So this guy will go on the B tier. This guy isn't necessarily hard, but don't sleep on him. He might send you to the game over screen. Old Demon King. I'm gonna put the Old Demon King in B tier. He wasn't hard in Dark Souls 3. He wasn't hard at all, honestly. It actually might have gotten Demon Prince and Old Demon King mixed up, but I'm gonna leave them in the same category because I believe they're on the same level of strength. Because earlier I said the what's it called was the boss run was more difficult than the actual boss. I was actually referring to Old Demon King. Pontiff Sullivan, I'm gonna put S tier. This guy is very, very cool, but the boss fight actually, and to be real with you, I feel like I got a little bit lucky fighting this guy. I don't know, got a few lucky parries in, but this guy's actually extremely difficult for his placement in like the mid game, kind of towards the earliest mid game. But this guy's no joke. He clones himself. Oh my gosh, there's just so many things you have to watch out for. Sister Free, I'm gonna put her in the A tier. That's perfect placement for her because she's not hard herself, and that big guy that you fight isn't hard. It's just that they can get a little bit tricky, obviously, when you interface too, and they both start fighting you together. So that's definitely a tricky boss fight. Slave Knight Gale, and now that it's such a toss-up between Slave Knight Gale and Dark Eater Midir. Like, what is the hardest fight in the game? I still believe the hardest fight is Midir, but I had to make sure my mic wasn't muted. I was going to be so mad if it was. But Slave Knight Gale is harder because it's more of a test of endurance. Like, he got like 4 phases, so it's kind of like pick your poison. Do you want to fight somebody that's massive and that will one-shot you, or would you rather somebody that's super quick, that hits hard, or that doesn't hit as hard, but he has like 4 phases? This guy, yeah, he's fodder. Actually, yeah, he's going in D tier. Very, very easy. Yorm, Yorm. I mean, obviously, if you don't choose to use the weapon that they give you, this guy's going to be an S tier because he's going to take virtually no damage, right? But so I'll split it in two. If you're doing it where you're not using the boss item, if you guys don't know, Yorm the Giant is pretty much a boss fight, kind of like Rykard in eldenring, where you get a weapon specifically meant for that boss, and if you don't use that weapon, it makes the boss fight 10 times more difficult. Yorm the Giant, if you don't use the boss item, he's probably the hardest fight in the game because he just takes no damage. But if you do what you're supposed to, I'll put him in the A tier. I think he's fairly difficult. Obviously, he's a giant. His moveset is pretty predictable, but if you get hit by it, yeah, you're done. Solar Cinder, I'll put. See, Dark Souls has this thing where a lot of their final bosses actually aren't the hardest bosses in the game, which I think is interesting. So I'm gonna put Solar Cinder in A tier. 2-phase boss fight. The coolest thing about Solar Cinder to me is that actually it's called the Solar Cinder because it's supposed to represent the person who is currently who will link the flame last, who's technically supposed to be your character from Dark Souls 1. So that's why he goes from, you know, a magic build to a dex build to a strength build to equality, because it's supposed to represent your player. So the Solar Cinder is supposed to represent you in Dark Souls 1. Oops. And I always thought that was super cool, but as the boss fight himself, he's not very difficult. Oh, this fight? Oh, okay, so this fight, because I didn't actually fight half light like the actual boss, because the way that this boss works is that it's kind of like that one boss fight in Dark Souls 2. This boss fight is actually against another player. The Dark Souls 3 servers are still up. I play on the PC. The Dark Souls 3 servers are still up and running. So I fought against an actual player. Now I'm gonna put this guy in the S tier, because more often than not, you're probably, just the way the state of the game is now, people are pretty good at Dark Souls. So you're not going to get somebody who's a scrub, right? 9 times out of 10, if you do fight against a real person, obviously it's going to be way harder. You're fighting against an actual person with iframes, with flasks, with abilities just like you have. So this boss fight is definitely difficult. Like I said, I never actually fought against Half-Life herself, because that is for offline mode only. But what I'll do is if once I replay the game, I will do an updated thing in the comments, and I'll tell you guys where I place her on the list. But 9 times out of 10, she's probably going to go in the A tier, because she is a boss from the DLC. So actually, that's what I do. I'll put Half-Life herself in the A tier, offline mode, and Half-Life online mode in S tier, man. So that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe for more content just like this. If there's anything you disagree with, let me know in the comments below so we can discuss it. I'm out. Peace.